Your sales calls are failing because you're doing what most AI automation freelancers do. You're going in with your offer already decided before you even understand what the business owner actually needs. I'm going to show you the exact 5-phase framework that allows me to close 43% of my deals and why most people are stuck at 10 to 20% close rates. But here's what's going to surprise you. There's one specific moment in every sales call where most freelancers generally blow it. It's not the pitch. It's not the price. It's something way more subtle. And when I tell you what it is, you're gonna realize that you've probably been doing it on every single call. I've closed over $100,000 in AI automation deals using this exact framework. And I've taught this to clients who've gone from zero to landing their first 4-figure projects and retainers. Today we're breaking down all 5 phases, the exact questions I ask, and the psychology behind why this works when pitching features doesn't. And I'll tell you the counterintuitive reason why pitching nothing on the first call actually makes them want to work with you more. I help builders and freelancers land consistent high-ticket clients by positioning themselves as AI consultants. And if you want to land your first or next AI client, you can take part in the 4-week challenge inside my free school community of like-minded people, where you'll find a free course that's honestly better than most paid courses out there, and you'll get direct one-on-one access to me for whatever questions you may have. The link is down below. Now let's dive in. Before I break down the framework, I need you to understand something that took me way too long to figure out. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Think of it like a doctor. You've got Dr. A who asks questions, listens to your symptoms, runs tests, and then prescribes treatment based on what's actually wrong with you. And then you've got Dr. B who just randomly prescribes medications that he found on ChatGPT, and he started prescribing them to you before you even sat down. Would you rather have Dr. A or Dr. B treating your family? And here's what's wild. Most freelancers are Dr. B and they don't even know it. Here's the thing. Business owners do not care about N8N or agents or workflows. They care about one thing. Can you make them more money or save them time? When you lead with tools and features, you sound like tech support and not a consultant. And I know this frustration firsthand. A year ago, I was making $50,000 a year at an insulation company, technically skilled but broke because I couldn't convert prospects into paying clients. I remember sitting in my car after a call I had just blown and wondering if I was just bad at this. Now let me show you exactly what was going wrong. And I guarantee at least one of these is happening on your calls right now. There are 3 fatal mistakes that are killing your close rate. First is going in with a predetermined offer before you even understand their problem. Second is pitching technology instead of outcomes. And third is interrogating instead of diagnosing. That third one, that's the one that nobody talks about. And it's probably the one that's hurting you most. Let me show you what I mean. Most people say something like, I can build you a voice agent with Vappy that integrates with your CRM. Compare that to, I can cut your lead response time from 4 hours to 30 seconds, which means you'll close 40% more deals. See the difference? One sounds like a tech geek, and the other sounds like someone who actually understands business. So how do you actually position yourself like the doctor and not the prescription dispenser? That's where this framework comes in. What I'm about to show you is not just a list of steps. It's a psychological roadmap that takes a skeptical stranger to where do I sign? And it works because it's designed around how people actually make buying decisions. So here's the breakdown. Phase 1 is framing. You create partnership energy instead of sales pressure. Phase 2 is discovery. You use what I call the toddler why technique to get past surface answers to emotional truth. Phase 3 is clarity reflection. This is where you show them that you actually understand their problem better than they do. Phase 4 is the light next step. No pitch, just curiosity. And phase 5 is price handling, maintaining consultant positioning when they inevitably ask about cost. And phase 3 is where most people completely fall apart, by the way. I'll show you exactly why in a minute, and the specific phrase that fixes it. But first, let me prove that this works with real numbers. I recently landed a $6,000 project using this exact structure. The business owner thought they needed a chatbot. By the end of the call, they realized they needed a complete lead qualification and nurture system. Same conversation, different outcome, because I followed the framework instead of just building what they were asking for. Now, let me show you how phase 1 and phase 2 work in practice. And this is where you're going to start to see exactly where you've been going wrong. Most people treat discovery like an interrogation at a police station instead of like a conversation with a trusted friend who genuinely wants to help. Here's what that sounds like. So tell me about your business. How many employees do you have? What's your revenue? What tools are you currently using? It feels gross, right? It's It's like being on a bad first date where the other person is just running through a checklist. Instead, you open with partnership energy. I say something like, oh, I looked at your website and I see you've been doing some really cool stuff inside the real estate space. I'm excited to learn more about what you're building and see if it might be a good fit for us to work together. But honestly, even if we don't end up working together, I really want to make sure that this conversation is valuable for you. Listen to that last sentence again. That one line changes everything about how the rest of the call goes. That immediately changes the dynamic. Now they're not being sold to, they're being helped. Then you use the toddler why technique during discovery. You ask surface questions first. Walk me through your current lead generation process. But then you keep asking why like a toddler would. Why is that important? Why does that matter? Why is that a problem? Let me walk you through exactly how this plays out, because this is where you get to the gold that closes deals. They say, I want more leads. Most people stop there and then start pitching lead generation services. But I ask why? Why do you want more leads? And they say, because I want to grow the business. And I ask why again? Why do you want to grow the business? Eventually you'll get to, because I'm worried that I can't provide for my family in the same way that my father provided for me. That's the emotional truth. That's what you're really solving for. Not leads, but peace of mind for a father who wants to take care of his family. And when you understand someone at that level, they're not comparing you to other vendors. They're trusting you with something that actually matters to them. And now here's what happens when you hit resistance. Because this will happen and most people handle it completely wrong. Some prospects don't open up easily. They give you one-word answers or stay surface level no matter how many times you ask why. When this happens, don't push harder. Pivot to specifics. Instead of, why is this important? Try, can you walk me through the last time that this happened? Or tell me about a specific deal that you lost because of this. Stories unlock details that direct questions can't. When somebody tells you about losing a $50,000 deal because they responded 6 hours late and the prospect signed with a competitor, that's way more powerful than them saying, I just need faster response times. Here's another technique that works. And this one feels a little bit weird the first time you use it, but it's incredibly effective. Permission-based vulnerability. You say something like, I know this might feel like a weird question, but humor me for a second. If you could wave a magic wand and completely eliminate one frustration from your business tomorrow, what would it be? The phrase humor me gives them social permission to answer honestly without feeling like they're being interrogated. And the magic wand question is huge. But here's what most people miss. And this is the difference between good discovery and discovery that closes deals. The first answer is almost never the real answer. You have to dig. When they say, I want more leads, you follow up with, okay, imagine that you have all of the leads that you could ever want. What changes? Now they have to think past the surface. They might say, I'd finally have consistent revenue. And then you follow up again. And if you had consistent revenue, what would that allow you to do? Eventually you'll get to the real answer. Maybe it's hiring their first employee, or finally taking a vacation without the business falling apart, or proving to their spouse that this whole entrepreneurship thing wasn't a mistake. That's the gold. That's the problem you're actually solving for. And when you get there, you're not selling anymore. You're helping somebody get what they actually want. Once you understand their real pain, here's how to show them that you actually get it. And this is phase 3, where I said that most people usually blow it. People rarely feel heard in business conversations. When you reflect their exact words back with precision, it's like finally having someone speak your language fluently. Most consultants usually jump to, here's what I can build for you. That's amateur hour, and it's where the deal dies. Instead, you use the clarity reflection formula. You say, let me make sure I understand this correctly, and then you mirror their words exactly back to them. Not your interpretation, their actual words. You said you're spending 4 hours a day responding to leads manually, and by the time you get back to them, they've already gone with a competitor. And that's frustrating because you know you could close deals if you could just get back to them quicker. Did I get that right? When they say yes, and they will, something shifts. You've just proved that you've listened and understood, and now they trust you to solve the problem. For the light next step, you don't pitch anything. You say something like, okay, based on everything you've told me, I have a few ideas about how we might be able to cut that response time to under a minute. Would it make sense for me to put together a quick proposal showing what that could look like? No pressure, no pitch. Just curiosity about whether they want to see a solution. And here's the part that will change everything about how you think about sales calls. This is the psychology behind what makes this framework work. Imagine meeting someone and immediately asking them to marry you instead of getting to know you first. Sales calls work the same way. Most AI freelancers propose marriage on their first date, and then they wonder why their prospects ghost them. People don't buy when they understand, they buy when they feel understood. This framework makes them feel heard, diagnosed, and confident that you can solve their problem. When someone reflects back to you your exact problem with precision, your brain thinks, finally, someone who gets it. That feeling is rare. That feeling is what closes deals. Here's the trust equation, and I want you to remember this. Understanding plus competence equals trust. Most people try to prove their competence by talking about their technical skills, but understanding comes first. Once they trust that you understand the problem, they'll believe you can solve it. Now, I also need to tell you when to walk away, because not every call should end in a proposal, and knowing when to disqualify might actually make you more money. Here are the red flags that I watch for. If they can't articulate a clear problem, just a vague, I want to explore AI energy, that's a red flag. If they're shopping with 5 different service providers and want you to compete on price, that's a red flag. If they push back hard on every question and won't share anything about their business, that's a red flag. And if they ask if you can just give a quick price before you've done any discovery, that is definitely a red flag. Here's what I say when I see these signals. And this will feel uncomfortable the first time you do it. I politely end the call early. I say something like, I appreciate you taking the time to chat, but based on what we've discussed, I don't think I'm the right fit for what you need right now. I'd hate to waste your time by putting together a proposal that doesn't make sense. And this actually increases your authority because you're willing to tell someone no. Business owners respect this. They're used to everybody trying to close them. And I know what you're thinking. This sounds great in theory, but what about the real objections and pushback? Let me show you exactly how to handle the price question without losing your positioning. When they ask about price during the call, you handle it like a wedding dress salesperson. They don't want the cheapest option. They want the one that won't fall apart on their most important day. You deflect professionally while maintaining authority. When they ask, what's this gonna cost? That's a great question, and it really depends on the scope of what I build for you. Based on what you've told me, I'm thinking it's going to be somewhere in the ballpark of X and Y. But I'd want to put together an exact proposal with proper pricing so you can see exactly what you're getting. Notice what I did there. I gave a range so I'm not being evasive, but I didn't commit to a number without a proposal. You give a ballpark to show that you're not hiding anything, but you don't get trapped into a price negotiation without a proposal. Your goal isn't to close on the call. It's permission to send a proposal and to follow up with a personalized Loom video. I had a client ask about price for a lead qualification system. I said, based on the volume you're dealing with and the complexity of your sales process, I'm thinking somewhere between 3 and 5K. But let me put together a detailed proposal so you can see exactly what the price is and exactly what you'd be getting. Final project value was $4,200 for about 25 hours worth of work. Now let me show you what happens after the call that actually closes the deal. Because in the follow-up, that's where most people lose the deals that they should have won. You send a proposal with a personalized Loom video walking through exactly how you'll solve their specific problem. Not a generic template, a custom solution that references the exact pain points that they shared on the call. And quick note on the proposal itself, keep it to 2 pages max. Nobody wants to read a 10-page document. Here's what your proposal should include. A brief summary of the problem in your own words, your recommended solution with clear deliverables, a timeline with milestones, the investment amount with a payment structure, and what happens next when they say yes. The Loom video is crucial because it maintains that personal connection and shows you actually listened. I say something like, hey John, it was great talking to you yesterday. You mentioned that you're losing about 30% of your leads due to slow response times. So here's exactly how we'll fix that. Then I walk through the proposal, screen by screen, explaining not just what we'll build, but why each piece matters for their specific solution. This isn't about technology, it's about the outcome. Most deals close within 48 hours if you've done the framework correctly, because at this point, they've already sold themselves. You're just confirming what they already want, and that's a completely different feeling than chasing someone who's ghosting you. One more example to show you how this works across industries, and this one really drives home the power of the reframe. I had a coaching client that was talking to his staffing agency owner. On the call, they uncovered that the owner was spending about 3 hours every morning manually matching candidates to job postings, time that he could spend closing more deals. Using the framework, my client reflected back, so you're essentially doing data entry for 3 hours a day when you should be on the phone with hiring managers. The owner literally said, I've never thought about it like that, but yes, that's literally exactly what I'm doing. The reframe from I need help to I'm losing money every morning, that changed everything. It wasn't about automation anymore. It was about getting his mornings back. being present for his team, and doing the work that only he could do. That conversation led to a $4,500 project for an AI matching system. And that's the counterintuitive thing that I mentioned at the beginning. When you don't pitch on the call, when you just diagnose and reflect, they sell themselves. You're not convincing anyone of anything. You're just helping them to see what it is that they already know. Now you have a proven framework that positions you as a consultant that diagnoses problems instead of someone that just pitches random AI tools. But even with perfect sales calls, you still need a consistent way to get these qualified prospects to book calls with you in the first place. If you want to land your first or next AI client, you can take part in the 4-week challenge inside my free school community of like-minded people, where you will find a free course that's honestly better than most paid courses out there, and you'll get direct one-on-one access to me for whatever questions you may have. The link is down below. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.